Hi folks, welcome to my Retro Journal. This is going to be my last December video, and this is the video is likely going to come out New Year's Eve because that's usually when I publish my videos. So this is the last in December. I'm playing with my Amiga, and last time you saw not the video on Christmas Eve, but the one before that, I was actually working with trying to get PC emulator running on the Amiga, which I couldn't. Well, I finally figured out how to do it. So I have a floppy disk right here. And so what I'm going to do is demonstrate to you. So I found PC Task, and actually I had to find an older version to run on this computer. It's PC Task version 3.1. And so I've got it right here. Let me just actually install it. So it comes with an installer disk. And I've installed it on WinUAE, so it should be pretty similar here. So here's an install. It has, so this 3.1 actually has executables for 68,000 and then the 68,020 or higher. So obviously the Amiga 600 is the 68,000. And the install thing is pretty simple. Now I could run it directly from the floppy, or copy it using a copy command in the shell, but this is easier. So proceed with install. No, I want to do a real install. I'm going to install it under expansions, emulators, and proceed. Yeah, so the turbo one is interesting in that I guess it's trying to speed it up by taking 4 bytes for every single byte. Well, I only have 1 megabyte, so this would never run on my machine. So I'll just do the one. Let it install. So pretty nice installation menu. So yep, I really like PC Task. I tried Transformer, and I will say Transformer just was basically wouldn't run on this machine because it was for the Kickstart 1.3 ROMs, and I think the original chip set OCS, so it wouldn't run on this. I think I verified that under WinUAE. Again, I don't have a 512 split. Hard disk, yeah, that might be useful. And then MS Utilities, sure. And I think that's going to be it. So it's a pretty short install. And I'm going to have to, once it's done, I'm going to have to kick the disk out. I haven't printed yet a knob for this, so that's complete. And so yep, I actually haven't done that yet. So what I have to do usually is stick something in here. Whoops. There we go. And then I do have a DOS disk. This is the DOS disk I've been using all along, but let's see if to run it first. So I have it under emulators, PC Task. This is the new one I installed, and lo and behold, this is what it installed. Let's clean this up a little bit. We'll put MS-DOS utils and README first here. Yeah. Looks pretty good. Maybe. And then stick it right down here, and then we can just do a snapshot. Is it window or all? I'll just do the whole thing just to be sure. All right, so I'm going to start it. Let me close the rest of these. I'm going to start up PC Task. Now, one cool thing about PC Task is it will actually open up. So I don't want serial or parallel. Now, I tried to... I'm just going to run it in the smallest amount of memory possible, which is 256. But you'll see that I'm not going to be able to run 2 copies of this. And the reason why, and I'm not sure what this is, but I usually put it at a 0. It hasn't really changed anything. But at 256K for the system, if I go under here and I go window, and I play with all these options, it still takes up 500K, which means with only a megabyte, I can't run 2 versions. So I can only run 1, unfortunately. But you can run 2 with more memory, and I'll show you this. So this is nice because this is actually now using a window that you can move, which I really like. Now, it's a very light font, if you see here, because it's using light blue. And you can't actually change it in the emulator. You actually have to change it under system configuration. So type this, put this disk in, hit return, and it'll boot up. But yeah, you know, in this particular, it's reading the disk now. And what it actually does is it will literally, yeah. If you go into, you can see that the screen kind of flickers. If you go into graphics mode, it goes into this mode anyway. Yeah, so it goes in this mode anyway. So I will, and then of course you can pull it down. So no instructions. What I want to do is actually quit it, and I can actually quit the whole thing like that. So it's actually better to, I'm going to restart it. It's actually better to run this. I'm going to take the memory down again. Even though I do appreciate the dual window or the movable window, didn't quite implement it properly to where, so if you just leave it as screen, it'll take the whole screen, and you'll see that the difference is it just starts up like that. And it just seems to be faster screen resolution, and you can still do this, so you can still go back to the desktop. So that's pretty cool. You know, it's limited screen resolution or at least I'm using composite. So unlike the Macintosh, even though you can have something displayed in a window, it didn't do quite a good enough job implementing it. And I didn't like the blue on gray. I wish they would have just inverted it, but for whatever reason, they didn't. You have to go into this full screen mode for that. So this is a more traditional look of the, yeah, and so here we are. It is faster than the QLs because, well, same speed, similar processor, except the QL has a 68008, which is an 8-bit data bus. This is a 16-bit data bus, so should generally run about twice as fast. Again, obviously, we don't have enough memory to multitask. If we go into here, we only have 160K left, so it's not as memory efficient as the QLs. But by the same token, I didn't show you. I'll go back into it after I run a couple of things, that you can have VGA though. So it is way more powerful. So GW basic. So give PC Task credit that it can do more powerful things if you have to have the memory for it. I've already shown you link 4. I wasn't going to run through that again. So this is a little faster than the QL. You can run it. Then for I equals 1 to 80, print, oops, and then hit this. A 30 next die, and then if I run it, it goes, and yet it'll still run. And I can also do an Apple M. It'll take me to that one, but I'll let it run for a while, and by the time I get back, it has finished. So it is running in the background, so that's pretty cool. So unlike the QL that actually completely tasked it out, when it's running, if I, oops, let me just make sure I'm in here. If I run this and then do an Apple M immediately, if I let this run for a little bit, you know, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, when I come back, it'll have finished printing because it's actually still printing in the background. Can I pull this screen down? Yeah, you can see that it's already finished. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Like I said, if I had more memory, I could run 2 versions of this. And if I type system, make sure I'm in here. And as I've shown before, I can run link 4. It's much faster. Well, it's about twice as fast as it is on the QL. Not the disk read, obviously, but the printing takes about 50 seconds, and I think it took about a little under 90 seconds. So, yeah, so this was a little faster. In fact, I don't think I have to fast forward over it because it's pretty reasonable. Obviously, it's not a very heavy graphics kind of game, but and again, this will work while we can do other stuff in here if we wanted to, but not in a window. Obviously, we could do similar to the way ICE was working that I demonstrated. And it should, so it's still running, you can see. So that's pretty cool. Shows the power of multitasking on the Amiga. Not gonna play it because, and you don't get to see, well, you saw when I did my Macintosh one, because I use the same program, that if I want to quit, so we do one player and then I just hit, come on. If I could go down here. So it's more playable than on the QL, definitely. I know it's going to do its, and I'm just going to quit out of this one. I should actually time it on the QL without having a background task running, because I think that could slow it down. So now if I quit, and then no more, I'm done. So back to, like I said, I can get out of this whole thing by hitting that. So that's pretty cool. But what I really wanted to show you is how to multitask it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go onto my desktop PC under WinUAE and show you that. All right, I've already got this booted up, and I put them both into the windowing mode because to show you that you could have them sort of while you see the background. Now notice though it doesn't show the whole screen, so you would lose this. But let me start this up, and so it's off the screen, and so you have to do a little bit of work. It's booted up. Bring this one to the foreground. Hit that. So here, again, we can do the same thing. So let's do GW basic. It's the same DOS disk that I'm running. And just to quickly show you multitasking here with two things running. So it's trying to read the disk. Here we go. And 10 for I equals 1 to 80. 20 print hello. 30 next I, and let's do the same on this one. GW basic. Again, the slow part here is reading it from the disk. It's obviously emulating the disk, but it's not any faster. So that part you can't really get around. But I think once it's running, it runs a little peppier, so that's nice. Here we go, and we're going to do the same thing. 10 for I equals 1 to 80. 20 print world, 30 next I, and now I can run it, and then just bring this to the foreground and run it. And you'll notice this time when I bring this to the foreground, it actually stops, just like in the QL. I don't think it's completely stopped. I think it just has a really low priority, so that when you're going back and forth, so it finished, and then this will finish up. But yeah, so it is a little bit more like the QL, and I think it's because you set the priority to, I think it's -1 versus 1, so you could even change it some more. I don't know if you could completely pause it or not. I just don't know the Amiga well enough to know if you could suspend a job. I know in the QL, priority 0 kills, completely suspends the job. But let me show you the other thing that similar to what I did. Let's do it. So let me just edit this, edit 10, and let's just do 200. All right, and what I want to do is I'm going to run this, then get back to here, which is going to supposedly stop this. And now here I'm just going to type link 4, because this is kind of what I did on the, oops, I got to first get into the system, and then clear my screen, link 4, and this is going to take over the whole screen. as I said, if you're in this mode, again, now it's just reading the disk, but here it goes. It takes over the whole screen. And no instructions. But this time it has the other program running in the background, right? So if I go down here, you'll notice that the other program is still running. What I should actually do is, let me see if I can I Control C this program? No, unfortunately I can't. Can I go full screen? Yeah, so it's still, so it is running. Oh, here we go. Well, it's actually trying to refresh its screen. I'll bring this back to the foreground. You can see that it does seem to pause the program when I go and I put this in the foreground. That one pauses now, and the other one's running. Oh, can I think I can go, there we go. Oh, right, so I'm back. Right, so I'm at the top. Let me run it from the top. And then I go here. And now you can see that it's complete. Yeah, it's sort of, and again, this was very similar to how I did things on the QL, that you can have two tasks running. And I think that's actually pretty neat. Yeah. And, but I think, like I said, this one isn't completely suspended like it was in the QL. You'll see that hello will actually, eventually, I think it'll actually, let's leave it this way. See what it does. Keyboard, play, yes, and go down. Maybe it's completely stopped. I don't think it is though, so I think it's gonna have make a comeback here. And what happens if I quit? I go do that. Oh, I think I need to go keyboard play. Yeah, no, I just yeah, I did not end it properly. It's okay. I can quit. And no, get out of that. There it goes. So now the other one will start again. And if I shrink it, it does seem to freeze the machine up at times when it's trying to draw it. But yeah, so still, I'm in here now. All right, I can go start.exe, and oh, interesting. When it's hitting the disk, it actually gives it some time. So, but when it's sitting there just waiting for input, it seems to pause it. So interesting, you know, kind of a quirky way to do multitasking. I think I like it better in the way it was working on the Mac, which was giving it equal time, but here it goes. But, you know, I do like the fact that you have windows that you can move around. And as I said, the let me quit both of these tasks. You can just do this and do this. If you go back to I'll just start it from here. If you go back to and yeah, this is a 68,000 machine. I'll end by highlighting this part here. There it goes. Notice that you can set priorities. So priority when selected, priority when not selected. So don't know enough about this. Like, is there a way to have this priority is a higher negative number? Will it completely suspend it? So that part I don't know. But yeah, let's go back to the real machine. Yeah, so the Amiga, I finally was able to run a MS-DOS emulator on actual hardware. Unfortunately, not enough memory to multitask it, but if I did have an extra megabyte, I could run both of them. Not a fair comparison to the QL in terms of this one being able to run two 200K versions, because PC Task can do VGA and SVGA and EGA, whereas Conqueror and the QL could only do CGA. So this obviously has more power to it. If you look at its size, only 64K bytes in size, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, I don't know why it, with 256K, why does it take up 500K of memory? Because I only have about 160 left, so it takes about 480K. Certainly the emulator shouldn't take any that much. If you have an idea of why it's taking so much, I'd be very interested in that. In any case, I'm going to end here. Happy December. Check out some of the other videos that are out there. I had fun doing this sort of multitasking MS-DOS on these old 80s machines, QL, Macintosh, and now the Amiga. I really like all three of them, so I wanted to showcase what they can do. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.